I was reading Ibram X. Kendi Stamped from the Beginning. Are you familiar with it?
I'm familiar with some of the work, but I'm not familiar with that particular one.
Yeah, that one was actually, I think, his first full book. It's either his first or second, but it's the one that really brought him to initial acclaim, even though most people don't know about it. Most people know about how to be an anti racist. That's the one that kind of went into the mainstream and caricatured him as this kind of radical racial, anti-white DEI, whatever else, like slurs now that people want to call him. But before that, I actually discovered him through doing my own research and this book, Stamped from the Beginning, which won the National Book Award, actually, the year that it came out, I believe. And it's a racist history. It's a history of racist ideas in America. That's the subtitle. And it really tracks kind of the idea of a racial hierarchy from its inception through various historical study and research that he did in the U.S. archives. It's very well cited. Highly recommend to anyone out there who's listening and is interested in this subject matter. It was a very good read that I took my time with to just discover this lost history, or suppressed history, if you will. It's not lost,
Hmm.
it's still out there, but definitely suppressed and definitely totally outside of my understanding. So, anyways, I'm reading this book, and of course, within the pages of that book, he talks about the discriminatory allowance of the GI Bill, right? And the loans that you were just talking about that people use to get houses, and to go to college for free, all of these things. Um, and I was actually at that part in the book while I was reading it at the airport. And this woman saw my book and she's like, "Oh, what are you reading?" It was this racialized white woman, older woman, and her daughter. And she goes, like, what are you doing there? And I was like, "Oh, like I'm reading Ibram X. Kendi. Here's the book." I was telling her a little bit about him and whatnot. And I talked to her about the GI Bill, and she had benefited from that. Many people in her family had benefited from it. And she was shocked. She was like, "I had no idea that Black people were not able to benefit from that." She's like, "I never knew that." And you could just see the shock on her face and like how much learning that impacted her because she knew how much her family had benefited from it. So, it's just a story to show that um, people walking around in ignorance is a necessary element of perpetuating a toxic racial environment. That's my
Yeah,
conclusion there for that, or at least exemplar of it. So you agree with that?
I do. And another thing that I didn't know about when I was growing up was that the neighborhood I lived in South Minneapolis had just opened up for people in the FHA loans to live past 42nd Street. And I lived on 42nd in Oakland. So my family could not have lived in that house 3 years before that. Um, so just like all these things were going on, and they seem, so abstract, uh, but they're real and affect real people's lives.
Thanks for watching. For access to the full length conversation and all of the 2 hour long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.